Hello, you're watching TelecomTV. I'm at the NGMN Industry Conference and Exhibition 2022, where one of the key discussions is around opening and automating the telco network. To talk about this further, I'm now joined by Arash Ashouriha, who is the chairman of the NGMN and the SVP of Group Technology Innovation at Deutsche Telekom. Hi Arash, thank you very much for joining us today. So first off, what are the main benefits that you see in network disaggregation?
I believe it's inevitable that our network asset will be softwareized. And the main thing is that when you work in a softwareized environment, everything is to be automized, otherwise you cannot operate it. So you need to design for automation, which is a very new way of thinking, because normally we introduce something and then we think how we can run it efficiently. So we come up with ideas how to automate processes. Here, it's that automation comes first. And the biggest benefit is that because of the automation, you will have a complete different operating model, which is much leaner. You can introduce features and introduce changes much faster. And also the cloud aspect of being able to scale up, scale down, and act to capacity needs in a rapid, automatic way is a huge benefit, which is a step change from today's operations.
And what are the hurdles standing in the way of embracing network disaggregation?
I mean, obviously, there are many hurdles. No pain, no gain, people say. I guess one of the most important thing is that you need to think differently, which is you need a different type of mindset to master that journey, which is a challenge for any operator. You need different set of skills. You need a combination of software IT skills, and you need to combine those people with the deep engineering network experts. And you need to create one team, and they need to work on the same thing from both angles. The other thing is that obviously disaggregation will challenge the performance. So there's a much more 3, 4, 5 party intensive work on improving the performance end to end by tweaking the software component, the infrastructure component on the hardware, the memory, the allocation of resources so that it works. And then the last I would say is that with any new technology disruptions, the established players are always a bit reluctant because it also disturbs their business model. So they are not pushing it hard enough. So actually the push on disaggregation is mainly coming from the operator side, which is good because we know what we want and we know the direction, but it makes it challenging to convince that this is the only way and it is inevitable that this will happen.
So, are there any security risks involved with opening the network?
Obviously, I mean, we have seen this with the introduction of IP. In the 90s, the telecommunication networks were, non-IP based, and therefore the security threats were, let's say, relatively limited. And as we open up to the IP and TCP protocols, we became like internet, and you become vulnerable. But obviously, over the years, we all have developed a lot of skills, tools, and a lot of investment in securing not only our network, but our customer and our customer's data. Now, with disaggregation, there's of course the next level of a challenge, but security will be heavily embedded in the standard. So the Oran Alliance, for example, if we talk about disaggregation in Iran, is heavily working to address that challenge. And I am very pleased that at least on that manner, there is a very, let's say, large common ground between operators and the industry, both the large companies and also some of the challenges. So it's just a matter of addressing it.
As part of the NGMN, earlier this year, you called for a groundbreaking measurement methodology for green networks. How is this vision going so far? And do you see telcos and vendors increasingly on board with this?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that question. In fact, just before I came here, the last keynote I was listening to was on sustainability, and Hakan Ekman, the CEO of Umlaut, was addressing that very point. Look, I think we made good progress, but it's a complex topic, and let me explain why is that complex. What we want to do is we want to have a tangible and undisputable set of criteria based upon you can measure each operator, each network, how sustainable and how green they are, which in itself is challenging. Now, if you, depending on the geographical location and the access in that country to green energy, to certain, let's say, resources, you cannot have one set of criteria which will be suitable for the world. I give you a practical example. In Germany and France, we as operators, we have access to green energy, right? We have access, so we are very advanced. We are rolling out 5G. So we have the luxury. I mean, in Germany, in Deutsche Telekom, we already shut down 3G a year ago. So we can do certain things. Other countries, depending on what market is, they have to act differently. So we make good progress, but there is a lot of alignment needed so that people feel comfortable. Why is that? Because my vision has always been this is something not just for us to get better, but this should be also published, because through the publicity, and even at some point, investors' pressure, you make things, you get an extra trigger to go an extra mile. And for that, you need, I mean, the industry needs to feel comfortable. So we put a lot of thought process in, and it's a bit of a journey. Let's not forget, in order to measure the quality of the GSM networks, I think GSM, I was still in mid-school, 92, 91, 92, it took a couple of years until companies came up with a methodology to measure the quality, and it was just 2G. Something as sustainability, it just did times and many iterations, but I am quite confident and I think we're on a good track.
Zooming into Deutsche Telekom's own work, what are the key priorities in your tech innovation efforts?
Sure, I mean, I addressed some of them at yesterday's opening keynote, but we have very clear strategy from moving to the as an undisputed leader in European telco to the digital telco. And the digital telco, if you look at it, has multiple aspects. The core of it is telco as a platform. And it's a nice phrase, but what it means is basically it's the softwareization of our network asset, using cloud, automate everything, and making it adaptable so that also network functions can be exposed and new businesses can be generated. So that's the core of it. And then we have the foundation, and part of that foundation is act responsible. And that act responsible, again, is just two words, but means a lot to us. So it's not just as a German headquartered company, integrity, brand, trustworthiness, but it's also sustainability. In fact, we take sustainability so serious that as of this year, so this was decided last year, a significant part of the remuneration, or better say bonus, of the board of management and all the executives, 2-3 layers of executives below board, will be based on how we achieve our sustainability targets. And the sustainability targets comes down to 100% renewable energy, which we are already having since this year, and to become net zero in scope 3 by 2040, which I think is the biggest challenge, because it's easy to state, very difficult to achieve. And fora like NGMN or other forums like GSM are a great platform, because we, no matter how strong we are, how much good we are, we can achieve only things. There are things which we need to address as the industry and collaborate so that the R&D spend of our ecosystem get not fragmented to address sustainability. If Deutsche Telekom says, I want A, NTT Docomo says, I want C, and Orange will say, I want F, and British Telecom something else, then a supplier has to decide who is the strongest, who much I do business with, and the R&D will be fragmented. The more we have common understanding, common requirements to address the big things, the more we can achieve things faster, and it's a great return on investment for the ecosystem.
Arash, thank you very much for joining us today.
My pleasure.